So it just got to a point where I was taking on way too much. I barely had time for myself. I barely had time to really like chill, right? And for me, like, I am a Scorpio, okay? And I would consider myself an extroverted introvert. So it's very important for me to have my alone time, for me to have my downtime, for me to recharge. My job is very social. I've mentioned that on the podcast before, and you guys know that. So I do a lot of interacting. I expend a lot of energy. So I'm putting out a lot of energy, physical energy, emotional, mental energy as well. So there would be days where I just like come home and I would be so freaking drained. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Let's Just Be Real podcast. I'm your host, Marissa Tong. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode this week. So we are continuing our Boss Era series for the month of July. So if you are an aspiring entrepreneur, an aspiring business owner, you want to become your own boss, you want to run a team, you want to build your own business from scratch, or you want to partner up with someone and build a business, whatever that means to you, whatever being a boss means to you, all this month, for the whole month of July, we are going to be sitting down, chatting about being a boss, becoming a boss, what that looks like. And we're going to be diving pretty deep. We're not going to be just talking about like day-to-day admin work and creating content and making money and all that good stuff. We're going to be talking about like the real stuff. So if you tuned into our last episode where I had Jessica Rivera, we talked about dating and relationships. We talked about what it's like to date as an ambitious woman and what it's like to outgrow friendships. So today in this episode, we're going to be talking all about mental health. And yes, I know we've had previous episodes about mental health, but we've never dived into what that actually looks like for entrepreneurs and business owners. We deal with so much, we take on so much, we have to show up in so many different ways. So prioritizing our mental health is really, really important. So I definitely wanted to dive a little bit deeper into that topic today and give a little bit more insight from my perspective and what it's been like for me over the past couple 7 years owning a business, part-time and full-time, and how I managed to take care of my mental health. So let's dive in. Okay, so if you own a business, or if you are thinking about running a business, or you are partner in a business, or anything, you run a side hustle, right? Like side hustles, let me just say this right now. Like if you have a side hustle or you do anything where you are some type of like independent contractor, or you are running a side business, right? Like we like to call it side businesses, but you're still a business owner. You are still considered your own boss, whether that's part-time or full-time. So when we do get into more of like that full-time role, a lot of things are going to change, okay? And I want to just give you guys some insight. If, you've never tuned into this podcast, maybe you never heard me talk about anything regarding my business. So I run a dance and fitness business. That is my main business. I guess you could say I run different branches under my business. So I have my shop where I also sell merch and my journals. I also have my Real Hot Retreats, also an umbrella under my business. And I also have my own personal brand, which is more related to this podcast, or when I'm teaming up with other brands or teaming up with other business owners, entrepreneurs, whatever. That's all under my own personal brand. So I guess you could say I do a lot. And how I've been handling it, honestly, it's been crazy. Like, I'm not gonna lie. So I went into full-time entrepreneurship last end of July. Technically, August 1st would be, if you want to give it an official date, it would be August 1st. The last day at my job that I was at was July 28th. So technically, it could be whatever around that time. So the reason that I decided to go full-time into entrepreneurship is because I was juggling way too much. I was way too overwhelmed with my growing business, with more things that I wanted to do, more content, my podcast, right? That's something that had been on my list for a really long time, in addition to teaching physical classes. So I teach, anywhere between 5 to 8 classes a week, and that's dance, primarily dance classes, but it could also be fitness classes. And then now I'm doing like my on demand stuff, right? So, in addition to doing all of that, which I haven't even mentioned like the back end stuff, the admin stuff, right? Making my schedule, making schedule for my team, delegating tasks, creating tasks to be delegated, right? Coming up with marketing strategies, email marketing, creating email campaigns and all that, newsletters that go out every week, editing all of my YouTube videos, editing my podcast. There's just so much, right? Accounting, there's so much that goes into it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys everything that I do, but I think you could get a pretty clear picture. And this is not just relative to my career or my industry, right? Any business that you are running, any industry that you're in, there are other things aside from the main service or the main product that you're offering that need to go into you building and creating and scaling your business. There has to be structure in place, right? There has to be other things that you're doing to set up your business properly. So it just got to a point where I was taking on way too much. I barely had time for myself. I barely had time to really like chill, right? And for me, like, I am a Scorpio, okay? And I would consider myself an extroverted introvert. So it's very important for me to have my alone time, for me to have my downtime, for me to recharge. My job is very social. I've mentioned that on the podcast before, and you guys know that. So I do a lot of interacting. I expend a lot of energy. So I'm putting out a lot of energy, physical energy, emotional, mental energy as well. So there would be days where I just like come home and I would be so freaking drained and I don't even have energy to talk to anybody or to work out myself, like have my own personal workouts or journal or read or go for a walk. There were a lot of things that like I was skipping out on because I was so freaking tired and exhausted. So, in addition to all of that, right, I've been in therapy for about, I want to say 3 years now, almost three. Yeah. Yeah. Almost 3 years. Wow. And one of the reasons I got in therapy, it wasn't just like, oh my God, like I'm so overwhelmed with life. Like it's so busy. My business is, whatever. It was more like I need a safe person to talk to about certain things that I know I don't really want to talk to other people about. So, regarding family, regarding friendships, regarding relationships, romantic partnerships, outgrowing certain people, outgrowing situations, sometimes just feeling down, right? That's totally normal. Like, as humans, there are going to be times where we just feel down. There are going to be periods where we are down, right? Whether that means like there's something, right? There's a specific situation or circumstance that is affecting your mental health, or maybe you're in just a season where you're just not feeling it, right? So, for me, I'm someone who's very self aware. I am very big on self care, wellness, taking care of yourself, feeling good, being able to show up for yourself. And I can't preach that if I'm not doing that for myself. So, fortunately, I had my therapist during this whole transition time of stepping into entrepreneurship full time, but it's still been a struggle. Like, I'd really be lying and sitting here if I said that, like, running a business is super easy, super seamless. Like, I don't think you're ever going to talk to any entrepreneur or business owner who tells you that, like, oh my God, yes, like everything's just so smooth and amazing and great. Like, you are going to have periods where things are just rough. Things are just rough. Like, whether that is things are rough with clients, things are rough with your team, things are rough financially, business is not really looking the way that you want it to, right? There's a lot of ups and downs when you are taking on a role of a boss, entrepreneur, who, whatever you want to call it, business owner. So I think it's really important for business owners, entrepreneurs, boss babes, whoever, to make sure that they are prioritizing their mental health. We can't just pretend that everything is dandelions and flowers and sunshine and rainbows when there's so much to be done in a day. Especially if you're someone who, like myself, is multi passionate, right? You have your hands in a few different things. And I'm not going to sit here and be the victim and be like, oh my God, like I'm so overwhelmed. Like I'm taking on way too much. And like, I just can't, like, because at the end of the day, I chose to take on the things that I have taken on in my business, right? I have chosen to take on multiple roles. I have chosen to show up and be the face of my brand. So I can't sit here and throw a pity party for myself or ask anybody to feel sorry for me. But I can sit here and honestly say, like, me prioritizing my mental health is a non-negotiable. I cannot show up in my business if I am not prioritizing my mental health, if I am not journaling. That's one of the reasons I created my journal. And if you guys don't know, I created a journal. So check it out. It's linked in the show notes. But, that's one of the reasons I created a journal. I needed that journal. I needed an outlet. And I was journaling before that. I would just buy random blank journals. The one I created is a guided journal. So it's just amazing. It's amazing. Not trying to, brag on my own product or whatever, but low key plugging it. But yeah, it's like we need healthy outlets. We need safe people to talk to. And for me, like, if there's things going on in my business, which this is honestly the first year where there's been any type of like confrontation or drama, or, if you want to call it drama, whatever the case, right? But this has really been the first year where I've really had to deal with people firsthand, like coming at me crazy or coming at my business crazy, right? And I've had to deal with it with such grace, and I've had to deal with it with God's assistance, right? Like praying to God, asking for strength, asking for guidance, right? That's another thing. Like going off the topic of mental health, I mean, if you believe in God, like I believe that your spiritual relationship or your spirituality, your relationship with God, whatever you want to call it, that is directly tied into your mental health. If you have no belief in something bigger or something that it can guide you through difficult times, and it's going to be very hard for you to actually get through those difficult times. So I want to give a lot of my resilience and a lot of my strength to my spiritual relationship, right? To my relationship with God. So going back to the topic of therapy is nowadays, like in 2024, it's easily accessible. There's no reason why you should not have a therapist if you are dealing with mental health struggles. If you are constantly complaining, if you are constantly breaking down, if you are constantly crying, if you are constantly dumping on other people, if you are constantly angry, if you are constantly having road rage, if you are constantly going off on people, like those are a lot of signs. Those are a lot of signs, sis. So you might want to, head on over to like BetterHelp, or, ask a friend, ask for a referral, hit up your insurance company. There's a lot of different resources, but we cannot walk around just feeling off balance all the time. Something is wrong. You have to be so self-aware and in tune with yourself and in tune with your body and your mind to know when something is off. You have to be able to tune yourself. And if you cannot tune yourself, find someone else that can help tune you. And when I talk about tuning, literally think about like when you're tuning something, right? You're fixing it, you're bringing it back to where it needs to be so that it can function. We get our cars tuned up. We get, like think about electronics, right? We sometimes need to get those fixed. It's the same with you. Think about your brain, your mind being like an electronic that needs to be checked up on, that needs a little rewiring every now and then. That needs a little battery change. That needs a little charging, right? Think about your brain as that. We cannot be walking around just raw dogging life, okay? We need to be doing something to maintain our sanity. And with the circumstances of how the world currently is, oh my God, like I can't even watch the news. Like I'm one of those people, and I'm sorry, like if you think that I am aloof or that I'm disconnected, I'm definitely not disconnected. I'm very aware of what's going on in this world, but a lot of it is just too much. I always say this to myself, like I am one single human being. I am not equipped to take on all the issues in the world. That is not my job. I'm not even equipped to take on all the issues of people who come and like take my classes. Like there's a lot of times, or there's been a lot of times where people have come to me because it's a safe space, because they feel comfortable around me, and I really truly am so grateful that people see me that way as a safe person. But there's been times where people have like come to me and, you know, kind of dumped on me and told me things about their personal life, whether that be relationships, whether that be issues with, family, kids, job, money, whatever. And sometimes I'm just like, this is out of my scope of practice. And also, we have to be, this goes for everybody. We have to start being able to read the room. And my friend Rakia says this all the time, like, certain people cannot read the room. And what I mean by that, the saying read the room just means like being able to tell, like, is this the right place or time to be doing whatever I'm doing? Is this the right place or time for me to be mentioning my trauma? Is this the right place or time for me to be bringing up an argument that I had with my boo last night? Is this the right place or time for me to be talking about this subject right now? So we have to be able to read the room, and we have to also be considerate to realize that everybody is going through something. We cannot put our problems on other people and expect them to be your solution unless that person is a therapist. But even in therapy, that your therapist is not there to find solutions for you. They're there to guide you to make your own decisions, to find your own solutions. My last therapy session, I was telling, my therapist about things that I'm dealing with, what I'm stressed out about currently. And she was just like, you'll figure it out. You always do. And I could sit there and I could be upset about it. And I could be like, she didn't tell me A through Z, she didn't give me a list of 1 to 5 steps that I could do to get through whatever I'm going through. Like, she told me I'm going to figure it out. Well, that's not her job, right? Her job is to listen and to give me guidance and to be able to hear me out. So that's what your therapist is there for, essentially. If we are dealing with more severe mental health issues where we might need to be medicated, then we're talking about a psychiatrist, right? A little bit different from your psychotherapist, right? But you got to do what you got to do for yourself. You have to do what you have to do. And a lot of the times you are going to feel very overwhelmed as a business owner, very overwhelmed. But if you're going to let that overwhelm allow you to just feel defeated all the time, maybe being a business owner, entrepreneur is not for you. And you have to be able to see that and realize that in yourself. So even if you're not someone who is currently full-time entrepreneur or you have a business, maybe you're still thinking about it, this isn't to discourage you from becoming a business owner or stepping into entrepreneurship. This is to help you realize that, like, mental health, taking care of your mental health is only going to help you in the future. It's going to help you be able to manage the stress that's going to come with being a business owner. It's going to be able to help you manage and make better decisions, to be able to regulate yourself, right? Maybe your therapist is like mine and she suggests things like meditation, yoga, that's what I love about her. That's why she's still my therapist, because we see eye to eye on those things, right? Your wellness. How are you taking care of yourself? That is what self-care is. Self-care is not just, oh, let me go to the spa, let me put on a mask, right? It's not that. It's let me keep routines for myself that involve activities and things that I know are going to help me feel good, or at least feel better, so that I can go about my day and I could get things done. That's why we have self-care routines. That's what it's for. It's not to post on Instagram to say, hey, look at me, like, I'm at the spa today and I'm getting a massage. And those things are great. Yes, massage is amazing and we need those, especially if you're physically active like myself. But that's not it. That's not all. That's not all self-care is. So I just want to encourage you guys today to do something for your mental health. Okay. Maybe that's journaling. You guys can check out my Life is Beautiful. It's a 60 days of self-care, guided self-care journal. You could use it definitely more than 60 days, if you're not using it every single day. It'll definitely last you longer than that. But you guys can check that out. We're coming out with some new colors this month, so I'm really excited to drop those. And if you guys are on Instagram, follow the shop page. You could check out the journals a little bit more. It's Real Vibe Shop. I'll also link that in the show notes. And follow my personal page as well, Wrist Fit Kitty. Our podcast page is Let's Just Be Real Pod. And if you guys are watching on YouTube, please like this video if you enjoyed this conversation today. Subscribe to this channel so you get notified whenever we drop new episodes. So new episodes drop audio on Tuesdays and Fridays and video on Wednesdays and Saturdays on YouTube. So I really hope that you guys have been enjoying the show. If you know anybody that you want to see on the show as a guest, definitely drop a comment or slide in the DMs. Let me know who you think would be a great fit on the show. Really excited to continue our Boss Babe era this month, and I will see you guys in another episode. Take care, y'all. Bye.